realized my parents have been using my disability, autism, as a warning label and not as a care label. You know how they have warning labels on radioactive things and things you shouldn't touch? That's how my parents treated my autism. And I noticed that if you let someone else tell your story, they're going to tell it wrong. You have to tell your own story. Honestly, though, it's ridiculous that disabled people can't get married without losing their benefits, without losing their Medicaid. The thing is, we can put people on Mars. We can't raise the asset limit. We can't get rid of the marriage penalty. Like, these are people, too. Something that I wish people would realize about disability is you can still have joy. You deserve to experience joy just as much as the next person.
Welcome to the Wheel With It podcast with your host, Devon. Let's get into the episode.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Wheel With It. And I'm your host, Devon Wieters. And today I could not be more excited to share this episode with you guys because we have a new friend of mine, Stephanie Singer. I've met her at the house, which is the apartment I'm moving into, or have just moved into. So I'm going to let her tell you about her. But how are you today, Stephanie?
I'm doing great, Devon. So I guess I should start with the beginning of my advocacy journey, which was rough. At the beginning of my advocacy journey, my parents spoke for me all the time. This meant they talked over me. They spoke for me. They did not let me speak, even though I was perfectly capable of communicating for myself. They just didn't want me to. So as I got older and more independent and moved to my grandparents' place, they realized my parents had been using my disability, autism, as a warning label and not as a care label. You know how they have warning labels on radioactive things and things you shouldn't touch? That's how my parents treated my autism. Like, it was a dangerous thing, that it was like a ticking time bomb that go off in any minute. When really the autism wasn't the problem, the ableism was. So I got to my grandparents' house
I'm
in my
currently
20s.
snapping. If you can't see, I'm currently snapping in agreement. Okay.
Thank you. When I got to my grandparents' place, they would say things like, "You're not disabled." They were trying to benevolently erase it, sweep it under the rug, and pretend it did not exist, which also did harm in its own way, because even if I was able to get undiagnosed, not that I would want to, it would not erase the way my brain worked. Even if I had a piece of paper that said, "You're not autistic anymore, congratulations," my brain would still work the same way. And as I moved out of my grandparents' place and into my own, I began to realize that both those approaches were not the way to go. The best way to do it is not to treat it like it's a ticking time bomb, or to treat disability like it needs a warning label like my parents did, but you also aren't supposed to erase it like my grandparents did. You're supposed to have it more like a small logo on your shirt, or a care tag on the back of your shirt, a care label, wash in cold water, dry clean only, that kind of thing. For me, the care label says sensory sensitivities, may wear headphones and bring a plushie places. So honestly, the best way to deal with autism, in my opinion, is to treat it like a care label or a small logo on your shirt, rather than try to rip the logo out of the shirt, or try and pretend it's not there, or try to treat it like a warning label on a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. So, how did you find Hope House first of all, and then
The way I found Hope House was
hold
through
on a
Google.
minute.
So I originally was with another service provider, Community Alternatives, and they did not know what to do with me. A lot of things I've noticed with disability services in me, whether it's through DARS trying to find me a job, or with a provider like CAI, is that they don't know what to do with me because I'm so independent. Because I have a mind of my own. I don't fit the traditional mold they're used to working with. Admittedly, I
Same with
started
me.
help.
They're like, not Hope House so much, but people in general are like, You are too high functioning. What do you do?
Exactly. But there are things that I still need help with, and functioning labels, I'm not a computer, so can we just ditch those? Can we just agree to ditch functioning labels out the window?
Yes, we can.
Because I am not a computer. It doesn't matter how I function, that fluctuates. There are some days when I'm completely disorganized and I can get nothing done. And then there are other days when I'll be running a 5K and still able to do all my chores. So autism is a dynamic disability, and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of disabilities are dynamic too.
Yeah, it fluctuates from day to day.
So, how did you get into advocacy and what were your adventures with that like?
So how I got into advocacy was after my parents, pardon my French, I was about to curse. After my parents very messed everything up, and I noticed that if you let someone else tell your story, they're going to tell it wrong. You have to tell your own story. I got a degree in communications for a reason, because the rest of my family had no bleeping clue how to communicate effectively. I feel like I got my degree in communications because at least one singer had to be good at it, and the rest of my family absolutely stinks at it.
That's
What I
so
was not
funny. Oh my God, that's so
what
funny.
I was not expecting to happen as I was going for my communications degree, the first meeting with my academic advisor at Virginia Wesleyan University, her name was Dr. Kathy Murlock Jackson, and she was in charge of the communications program there. My mom was about to open her mouth and start spewing things about, oh, my daughter is so disabled, she needs accommodations, she was going to go off. Dr. Jackson, God bless this woman, said, Mrs. Singer, I understand you're concerned, but I normally like students to do the talking.
Yo, what up, Dr. Jackson?
Yes, she shot my mom right down. And my first attempt at speaking for myself, I was going into college. My mom, especially not with all the scholarships I had. She and my dad barely had to pay a couple $100 for tuition because of all the scholarships and grants I got. They had no business being there. But anyway, my first attempt at speaking, it started quiet, but the more I did it, the more confident I got. And the more willing I was to shout my parents back down and shut their nonsense down. Whenever they would try to speak for me, I would say, no, we're not doing this. I have my own voice. Let me speak.
That's amazing.
It was like in The Little Mermaid, the original 1999 version, where Ursula had the magic shell that contained Ariel's voice, and her animal friends broke the shell, and Ariel's voice soared back into her throat, and she let out that beautiful song. That's how it felt. Like I finally got my voice back.
That's like amazing. So tell us what you do for advocacy now and what's been your favorite advocacy experience.
So for advocacy now, I actually run a self-advocacy account called Golden Infinity Advocacy.
And we will put it in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you, Devon. And I also am a member of the executive committee of Our Voices as of July 10th, 2025.
Newest member of Our Voices over here.
Yep. Welcome. Our Voices is great. For Our Voices, I've been able to go to the Disability Policy Seminar in Washington, D.C. I have gone to the National Convention the National Convention of the Arc of the United States as a breakout session presenter. It was standing room only. Had there been one more person there, they could have been breaking the fire code. Thankfully, there was not one more person there, but the room was packed.
Were you nervous to do that? Because I would be so nervous to do that.
I actually wasn't. I had rehearsed. I had done the research. I was able to just present it. And I actually walked out of there with more followers for my advocacy Instagram, and I also changed a few people's minds on things.
That's what we love here.
Hi, I'm Doug Katz, inventor of the Nulu kitchen knife. The Nulu is uniquely shaped to work in harmony with the human body, greatly reducing the strain on muscles and joints common with traditional knives. Not only is the Nulu ergonomic, it's incredibly versatile. This knife is the kitchen MVP. Visit us at nuluknives.com, that's N-U-L-U knives.com, to see this extraordinary knife in action and understand why we say Nulu is the knife that adapts to you.
Visit nuluknives.com and enter code WheelWithIt-Nulu at checkout.
Another thing where I exercise my advocacy in other places is at my Taekwondo school. A lot of the kids who I teach are autistic or have ADHD or have something going on up here. And a lot of the times the parents will come in wringing their hands with hushed tones saying, my child's on the spectrum. And like, it's a shameful thing, like the warning label my parents would use. And I'm like, ma'am, so am I. I have those diagnoses too. And look what I have. And at this point, I'll hold up my second degree black belt to them to show them that it does not matter how your brain works. You can still achieve things. And that gives people hope. It gives them a chance to get out of their child's way.
People don't know you are I don't know if we could cuss on here. I don't know if you're comfortable, but you're a badass because you're like a second degree black belt in which basically means you've whooped a lot of people. So tell us how you got into.
Two people outside of class. I've only whooped two people outside of class.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Do you mind if we leave that in?
We can.
Okay. So that's crazy. So what you're saying is I need to go out with you the first time by myself. So if somebody comes up on us, you can whoop them for me.
Yes, I will gladly whoop people. There is no fee. I'm not a mercenary. I am not a mercenary. You do not have to pay me to be your bodyguard.
Tell us how you got into
Taekwondo.
And why you.
So the way that I got into it, ironically enough, is that when I was 5 years old, my dad was taking classes, and I was sick of spending time with my mom, so my dad took me to a class with him. Needless to say, after that first class, the bug bit me, and it stayed under my skin. Something about Taekwondo, I don't know if it was Master Zhang believing in me when nobody else did, or if it was the fact that I had this sense of empowerment in me all of a sudden and a place to belong, it just stayed with me as a young autistic girl. And what really stayed with me is when I first saw the movie Mulan, the 1998 version, I realized that they were doing Taekwondo as well, even though the movie is set in China and Taekwondo is a Korean martial art. So doing Taekwondo also connects me to my favorite Disney character in a roundabout way. That's another thing that got me into it. And something else that got me into it, besides the fact that people believed in me and the fact that my favorite characters do it, even though they're in the wrong place and the wrong time for it, is that sense of empowerment, that confidence, that you sit up straighter and that you speak up for yourself and others and do the right thing, that mindset shift that comes when you start getting into martial arts. Because it doesn't just shape your body, it shapes your mind, it shapes your spirit. And so many people miss that spiritual dimension in the midst of a sparring match, unfortunately.
Yes.
Which is why I personally prefer to do forms.
It can be hard to be spiritual in the midst of a sparring match.
Yes, but when you're doing Tumse, which are forms, it's just me and the movement. I can hyper focus on that for hours easily, just doing forms. I could do that all day. I can't spar all day. I do not like sparring, but yeah. But hey, I've had to whoop some people's butt, like you said.
Do you have a job?
Yes, I do. For the past, let me count on my fingers here. Let me count my head. Let's see, 2017, 2025. It's been 8 years working as the communication specialist at a nonprofit called Mercy Medical Angels. They are a nonprofit that transports people from the nearest home from their homes to the medical treatment they need. We have a network of volunteer pilots across 10 Atlantic states who have a 100% safety record. We have partnerships with commercial airlines. We can give them gas cards so their family members or friends can drive them, bus tickets or train tickets so they can get there on the ground. Because let's face it, not everyone wants to fly.
Yeah.
So we have options depending on distance and the patient's comfort levels. And what I do is I do all the writing. I do some design work because I like to do graphic design. I do some video. I used to do videos, but I don't do that as much anymore. And I'm mostly coming up with ideas for videos, which is just as fun. And I've even sang at events that they had. In 2019, I got to sing the national anthem at Volunteer Pilot Appreciation Day. That was pretty cool.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Tell us about your partner, Willow.
Okay, so Willow lives at Seaside Harbor. She is also supported by Hope House. She recently started taking taekwondo classes with me. Hey, I got trained with my girlfriend, right? That's always a plus. And she is also in Our Voices, and she is the liaison for Our Voices in the the Ally Self-Advocacy Alliance. Blech, words. She's really awesome. I really like her. And one of the things that we're advocating for as a united front is to eliminate the income and asset limit and also abolish the marriage penalty for disabled people. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're
Too many
working
books,
on.
but as you can tell, I'm really excited about that prospect.
Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, though, it's ridiculous that disabled people can't get married without losing their benefits, without losing their Medicaid.
Absolutely ridiculous. We don't want like Elon Musk types getting benefits, but it's got to be higher than this. Come on, like this is crazy.
Not only has it got to be higher than this, not only that, but those laws were on the books for disabled people to get locked in closets and stuff. So, like, we don't do that anymore. The times have changed. We have new computers, new cars, new airplanes. We're traveling to space, and we still can't get asset limits fixed.
Yeah, it would be a long trip.
Yeah, but the thing is, we can put people on Mars. We can't raise the asset limit. We can't get rid of the marriage penalty. Like, these are people too. Something that I wish people would realize about disability is you can still have joy. You deserve to experience joy just as much as the next person. And not just survival, but thriving. And I have spent a lot of time in therapy and working on and in Taekwondo, realizing that I deserve to thrive, not just survive. Honestly, that's what the asset limit is. It's barely surviving.
Yeah, like here's enough from the government to survive. I'm so sorry for your bad luck. Bye. Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's basically what the current system is. And I have to do a shameless plug. If you want to learn more, realwithit.com / that's realwithit.com / WeForum. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we get off here? Because you have been amazing. So I want to give you a chance.
I would like to say we cannot cut this part out. If anyone is looking for a safe place to take your kids, please take them to Parks Taekwondo Academy and sign them up for lessons. We take kids as young as 3. If you got a wild 3-year-old running around your house, Parks Taekwondo Academy is the place to be. Another thing I would like to say is this is my shameless nonprofit side. Please give Mercy Medical Angels a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and wherever else you can find them, and please consider donating because those patients need our help.
We will put all those links in the show notes. And Stephanie, I love you. I think you're hilarious. And this will definitely be one of our best podcasts because we get to share it with all the Hope House people when it comes out.
All right, let's do it, Devon. Let's do this.
With that, you can follow me on social media at Real With It Pod or Devon Readers. You can, again, if you want to learn about our advocacy initiative to eliminate the marriage penalty and get the asset and salary limit raised, you can go to
wheelwithit.com/reform.
see you guys next episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to follow the show and our guests on social media and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell so you'll get notified when we upload new episodes. See you next time.